Welcome back to No Run Zone. I'm Derek Slavin, your host. As always, joining me, Mr. Hunter Lake. Hunter, buddy, how's it going today?
Absolutely amazing. The sun is out and we are back to playing sunshine football.
Speaking of the sun, how's your skin doing after Sunday?
I mean, it's the first burn of the year. It's the first of the 100 I get all summer long. Sunscreen just doesn't quite do it. I think I got to be a sleeves guy for the next couple months.
You got to get that base going, right?
It's a real base.
It's the first layer.
I'm wearing hats inside now. That's how burnt I am.
We had an epic weekend on Sunday at McLeod. It was a lot of fun. The sun was out finally, 22 degrees, with the planes flying overhead, and I don't think there was too many complaints about the weather. Really, it was cold drinks on the sidelines and people out sun tanning in between games. It was awesome to see in comparison to the week before at John Oliver in the pouring rain. So, did you get in any games this weekend?
I might have dabbled. I got a little bit of co-ed action in there. I played my first game. Sorry to only hands who only had 4 players, but I got a little, little 5-on-4 reps for the day.
Well, you better get your legs under you, buddy. You only got 2 weeks left.
Yeah, I'm revving it up, man. One day at a time.
So we're 4 weeks in the book. We got 2 weeks left to go. This coming weekend, April 26th, we are at John Oliver. Again, reminder, please carpool if you can. For those of you that can't carpool, there is additional parking. Watch for the signs as you come into the park. There will be additional parking your first left. It was a bit of a nut house the last week at JO. And TSN cameras were on the sidelines. That's not something that we would normally see. And we're going to talk a little bit about that later on in the show. But first, uh, we're going to get into the power rankings right off the bat.
Right off the bat. All right, we got ladies first. And it's hard to do power rankings when all the stats and the standings are there. But I've had the pleasure of watching most of the women's games this season, and I'm starting to get a good feel for how things are shaping up. So, pretty much on par with where I was at the start of the season. The West Coast Wild have been dominant outside of the week that they were missing their starters. But between you and me, if they're all there during the playoffs, they are winning games by 30 plus points pretty consistently. It seems like it's going to be a pretty hard task for a team to knock them off their horse, but I'm super excited for all these teams to try. The Reign are
You,
right there.
you know, I disagreed a little bit at the beginning of the season when you put out your power rankings, but you are right. We're pretty much bang on exactly where you thought it was going to be. I don't see any way that Easy repeats again. I think this one it's West Coast Wild, it's Phillies Rain, or it's Van City Vice. I think any one of those three has a chance to take this the spring elite division. Keep in mind that we will be splitting for playoffs in our women's division between elite and our comp teams.
Oh, great. Okay. So is it going to be top four, bottom three?
Top four, bottom three.
Oh, that's exciting. Okay, great. I love that then. I mean, that means lots of teams get a chance to compete for a championship. That's fantastic.
That's the point.
Awesome. So yeah, that's all I want to touch on there. The Vice get to play the West Coast Wild again during the season. They get 3 matchups
Mhm.
with them, which is awesome because they get to kind of see where they can figure it out during the season. Rain and Vice next week to pretty much decide who's going to be that 2 seed or potentially even 1 seed if Phillies win because they only they already beat the Wild on their
Yep.
Team Canada bye week, so they could still technically be the first team seed here.
There's still a lot of potential movement. So,
Hmm.
okay, let's move over to our men's masters division.
Well, I love it. My favorite one. I finally got to watch the men's Masters football this week, and I loved it.
And
I loved it. It was such a fun atmosphere. The guys were having such a good time. Everyone was, enjoying themselves, which
yeah,
we love that about football when everyone's having a good time. The power rankings are straight chalk. They are exactly as they look in the standings. Only Masters of only football, holy cow, just weapons across the board. Only Fogies. I mean, Kevin could do everything he can. They're a competitive team, so they have a chance. They definitely have a chance. And then adequately average had a great game last week against the Geriatric Generals. I was super impressed by some of their players, but the 3-4 teams are going to do their best to hang on to try to make it sneak one out in the playoffs.
okay. Let's move on to our co-ed division.
Awesome. Awesome. This one is a lot more opinion based than most. So right now, Ravens, even though they lost this week, they were missing their quarterback, so we'll see. I don't see them losing again much this season with the speed they have. But hey, Fusion X is the only undefeated team still, and they have a huge matchup this week, with or without Hunter Lake playing against them. Who knows? We'll see if they continue that undefeated season. I'm excited. I'm excited to see their team and really get see what they can do compared to the Ravens. Going down the list, anything here that surprises you?
Not really, no. I will say watching the games this weekend, standing on the sidelines, doing the stats, and just seeing what some of these teams actually have. Van Lynx looked really good.
They are
Uh,
quite shifty.
Granted, they were going up against Rough Riders, and I'm sorry, Rough Riders, you guys are amazing, great group of people, but you guys looked rough. A lot of figuring out, a lot of learning to do there, I think. But Van Lynx, I was thoroughly impressed. Rampage should be a lot higher than where they are. They've got some good talent on that team,
Okay,
but they're all new playing together. There's no cohesion. They're still learning from each other. But they've got good quarterback. They've got great rusher, good centers. They've got good speed and good defense. Um, they need to put it together.
they,
But they are. I would not be surprised if they surprise some other teams as we head either towards or into the playoffs.
I love that. And just for our peace of mind, what are these playoff brackets going to look like? Is it going to be top two get a bye and everyone else plays out? Top four, top six?
So in our co-ed division, uh, co-ed's going to be 1 and 2 get a round one bye
Okay, so that's
to
important.
start things off,
I love
and
that.
then we filter down from there.
Cool. Cool.
So we're gonna have the playoff brackets. We're gonna have the playoff formats made public probably before the end of this week.
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
So everybody can take a look and see what we're looking at for the next 2
I
weeks.
love it when a playoff bracket starts crystallizing. It's my favorite thing in football, starting to do predictions where you're going to end up, who you're going to have to play. Oh, I love doing that. Anyways,
The interesting one for us is going to be the comp division with 20 teams. How we're splitting that up. It took some NASA mathematicians and a little help from our commissioner. So
of course,
okay, so let's get into the men's comp division. As you take a sip from your, I'm sure what is water.
mostly ice.
All right, it's all yours, sir.
This is the best division, hands down. 20 teams, 19 chances to win the championship. We have so much talent, so much discrepancy. Anyone can win. My power rankings so far are quite chalk, but also very surprising because any of the top, I want to say 9 teams will win this championship. There is no cutoff, maybe top 10. Anyone has a chance, and that's what makes it so exciting.
Really?
Scout team, solid. Maybe one of the best defensive teams I've ever seen in flag football. They are so fundamental. They play great D. They don't let receivers get into routes. They attack every ball. Their offense is sound. Hard to imagine they don't win the championship because of their fundamentals. But
And they're missing a ton of guys too.
and they're missing a
Like,
ton of guys, and they're still crushing it week in, week out.
yeah,
Pretty impressive.
nice job, Mackenzie.
All right. 1, 2 to 3, 2 to 4. Pass pro shops, only football, outlaws. Pass pro shops, only football. Great quarterbacks. Holy cow. Pass pro shops has 2 of the best quarterbacks in the division. Mateo was amazing. He's gone. They replaced him with someone just as good. Holy cow. This team's fantastic. Only football, one of the best offenses I've ever seen. Jason has put together one of the best teams in this conference, and they seem hard to score against. They had a game that came down to the last 4 plays against an amazing team on Sunday. It was a tie game with maybe 20 seconds left, and they drove the field, maybe 3 or 4 penalties each way to get them down to the 1-yard line, and they punched it in. This is a team that knows how to win, so they are staying at the top of these rankings. The Outlaws, the Vikings, nothing I can say about them besides athletic, good quarterbacks, great defense. After that, it gets confusing because amazing athletes on the head toppers, the Blazers. We don't know how they'll commit against the top defenses of the league, but right now they're running ragged on everyone. Whereas the Wild Dogs, the Bandamakers, they have great offenses, great defenses, but we don't know how they stack against the best of the league. So these power rankings are so confident right now, but I'm sure they'll change tomorrow.
And it's going to be interesting too once this all shapes up as we get in towards playoffs, um, because the bottom eight are going to play a preliminary play in.
I love that.
Following that, then we're going to get the Sweet 16,
Are you
right?
talking March Madness brackets on me, Derek? Are we gonna get to bracketology?
I don't do basketball, but call it whatever you want. Once we get those bottom eight sorted out, we're down for 4 teams out of that grouping, and then we're into the 16. From there, we're going to break down to our quarterfinals, semifinals, and then obviously our championship final. But those bottom eight, I wouldn't count out. Well, we'll get to the bottom eight when we get there. But I want to touch on the Vikings. Um, this group has impressed me this season, and they're continuously getting better. I think they're going to be my dark horse.
I was
I think the
super
Vikings are going to be my dark horse. They are, like you said, they are athletic. They're skilled. These guys all understand the game. I think they've met some really tough opponents, but I think they're still going to climb a little bit here. Outlaws, I'd watch your back.
Ooh, yeah, Vikings was one of those teams that I thought was athletic and could make plays, but I wasn't sure if they had the whole bag. And then I watched
Yes.
them play the Wild Dogs this weekend. And man, offense, defense, quarterback, rushing, they had the whole package. I'm excited to watch this team
Yeah,
play
they
in the
really do.
playoffs.
What do you make of the BC Blazers being where they are in seventh place? Now they have one of our favorite people,
Say his
but
name.
but Shayak and Sammy. Uh, but the rest of the group, I think they're struggling to find their groove.
I don't think this is a team you should sleep on because I got to watch them play the Pacquiao Packers, and no offense to the Packers, they ran ragged all over them. They looked open, they looked fast. Their quarterback had the stroke. Man, he threw some nice passes. You know, some guys just chuck it deep and you're like, man, this guy could throw far and you're not worried about him. He's like, we'll cover deep. He won't be able to throw it far. He was hitting ins, he was hitting slants, he was hitting outs. So that means he has the brain to hit all the passes. I'm a little more worried about the BC Blazers than everyone else.
So would you say the Blazers are your dark horse coming out of the middle?
Ooh, they are my Shea horse because they can ride that guy all night long.
All right. All right. Here we go. 11 to 20.
11 to 20. Top of this division is the Vipers. They've struggled right now. They had added some huge pieces at the deadline, the cutoff. They had the most handsome man in all of BC, Bryce Mosley, on this team, and they doubled down. They doubled down. They added his brother, Kyler Mosley, ex UBC football star Kyler Mosley, as a deep threat. I'm kind of scared of this team now. They might surprise someone. They got Fat Stafford at QB. They got Bryce Mosley, a junior football all-star at safety. And they have one of the best UBC receivers we've had in a while at slot. That's a recipe for success. Let's hope they figured it out this week. Followed right behind them, I have the Speedy Sings. Great bunch of guys, athletic, know how to play together. They're going to
Mhm.
compete.
They
Then
got better.
they
They got
did. I had them at
they
what?
played
13?
2 stellar games on Sunday.
They competed and they
Yep.
dominated their games.
Yeah.
I'm impressed by them. And then here's your favorite team at number 13, the Van Lynx. Derek, trickery, deception,
Yep.
misdirection. This team has it all. What do you think of them?
So I got to watch both of their groups. Yes, on Sunday I got to see their co-ed group and I got to see their their men's comp group. And I'm thoroughly impressed with the progression of a lot of these teams, but specifically seeing Van Lynx in December at that charity tournament that we did, the fundraiser tournament. Um, and just they were kind of it was like they were discombobulated. They didn't really understand where they were supposed to be going or what they were supposed to be doing. They've made vast improvements and they are showing up every week and they're getting better. They're progressing every week. These players know how to ball. They've got height, they've got speed, they've got a decent arm and a quarterback. Um, they're starting to really find their footing. So I wouldn't sleep on them either.
Not one bit. I'm actually really impressed with them every time I watch them play. Like, they know the game. They know where they can win, where they can't win, what rules to apply. I'm always impressed with them.
And they taught me some Chinese on the weekend. Not joking.
I
Not
believe you.
joking.
I was trying to do stat keeping for their game, and they
Yeah,
are
same.
a very smart group.
Awesome group. Okay, moving on.
The bottom 6. I mean, it's basically as the standings go at this point. The only things I have kind of misdirected are a couple favorites. Hey, I just want to touch on Ole Miss getting their franchise's first win for the season.
Yes, they did. They
Congratulations
got
to
their
Ole
first
Miss.
W.
I'm proud of you guys. What an outstanding game. The Dogs, I thought I had them a lot higher, and they have been
You
struggling
did.
with that loss to Ole Miss. Those are the power
But
rankings I'm
they
confused about.
did. Sorry, they did have an emergency team meeting following their games on Sunday. Made their way over to Camp Beer, and they I think that they sorted some stuff out. So
So if they win, you're saying we should all go to Camp Beer to figure our shit out?
absolutely, we should go to Camp Beer to figure our shit out.
All right, maybe you and me will do that later in case this podcast goes poorly.
Don't forget to check out the Pacific International Open this summer, where Camp Beer is the official supplier of all the beer branded for the BCAFFL Flag Football League. Okay, uh, we have to talk about the Packers. We got to talk about Pacquiao Packers real quick.
Hey,
They,
back-to-back touchdown scoring week.
they got another
Back-to-back
touchdown.
Packers. They
They got
scored
another
2
touchdown.
weeks in a row.
Yeah. So that is progression. That's getting better. We had a good pregame before the game versus the Lot Lizards, and yeah, I mean, I tried to pump them up. I tried to give them a little bit of a boost, but didn't really work. They went out and got slaughtered by the Lot Lizards. Who the Lot Lizards? They said I lit a fire under their asses
They certainly played
for
like it.
saying that they were going to get handed one by the Packers. Lot Lizards, look, man, I was just trying to light a fire under the Packers' ass. So, um, you guys killed it, and I'm not going to doubt you again. And then we come down to the bottom end, and oh, I feel bad for these guys. Game of Throws. So again, I'll remind everybody watching at home, Game of Throws was our league created team with all of our single registration players. Um, they've shown up every week. Their jerseys look good.
They look amazing.
Yep, good group of people. Um, but again, this is not a cohesive group where they've been playing together for seasons after seasons after seasons. So they got to figure each other out, and they gotta find their footing, like I said before. So um, I'm sure they'll figure something out. I hope they get a win this season, and I hope they come back.
Absolutely. These guys are awesome. They clearly love football. I love their attitude. They look so nice in these jerseys you've designed for them. Man, that
I
steel armor.
I didn't do that one.
Oh, no fooling. Okay, I'm a fan
Nope,
either way.
nope, didn't do that one.
All right, well, whoever did, they did a good job.
Yep, they did quite well.
Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
for this team.
Well, that brings us to the final division, the last one,
The important one.
the important one.
The one that has no more difference in my heart than every other division. Clearly.
Oh, okay. Can you stay biased here or unbiased?
I will stay unbiased because no one
Uh,
picks on my teams harder than me. Ask
Fair
my
enough.
wife, she hates me. So do all my teammates, but that's because I'm a nitpicker. But hey, that aside, power
let
rankings, Ben's
let
elite
let let's
division.
start let's start from number 12. Let's start from number 12 and work our way up.
I love it. PRE Dolphins, they're still coming out. They're still competing. Tight knit game with the Hungover Heroes last week. I pray they get a W this week.
Hungover Heroes got their first W of the season.
Absolutely. Championship pedigree. No give up, never surrender. This is a team that's just trying to get better. They're learning the game week by week. They're going to surprise someone in the next 2 weeks. They're going to steal another win. I know they might sneak up these power rankings.
And I'm going to give these guys credit. Same with B-Town, and unfortunately, B-Town were unable to get across the border with us this weekend due to some scheduling conflicts, so they had to forfeit both of their games. But Hungover Heroes, they look good, and I was really impressed. Like these guys, they wanted to register in our men's comp division. There was no room. We were already full. They just wanted to play ball. And they've been out every single week and they've been balling. Whether they're winning or losing, they're still balling. Great group of dudes. Um, looking like it looks like they have fun every week. And that's really all we can ask for. They're not I don't think any of them really expected to come into the elite division and actually, you know, make their way up the standings to, first, second, third, or anything like that. But they're not in dead last.
That's
They
true.
got themselves a W. They're scoring points. Like these guys can play ball. I think you give them another season in our comp division next year or next season in the fall, and these guys will be back in the elite division perhaps next spring.
You know what? This team reminds me a lot of scout team in a way that they're athletic, they communicate so well, and they know how to
Yeah.
play defense. Like,
Yep.
their offense is still struggling to figure out how this game works, but they fight really hard and they do not give up easy points. They're
No,
still learning how to properly space, how to play zones, how to, be responsible for your area. But this is a team that's going to grow into something really well because of their hardships right now.
for sure. And then we have the honey badgers.
They're cool.
Yeah, poor honey badgers.
Yeah, I expected a lot out of them this year because they had a lot of young talent, but,
I thought they would be. I thought honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I thought they were going to be probably I would say middle of the pack, like between 4 to 7.
yeah, I'm a bit surprised with them. They're still figuring out their quarterback situation, and that's
Yeah.
hurting their overall dynamic and, back and forth and who's gonna come. But I like what they're building. They got a good group of guys who love ball,
I do.
and this might not be their season, but hopefully they build to the future.
Let's hope so. And then this one, and I know we talked about this in the power rankings at the start of the season, and I kind of gave you shit for ranking the Yetis as low as you did, but wow. And I'm gonna take flack for this one, and I don't care. What happened? These guys are honestly, uh, the Yetis are some of the first of all, some of my close personal friends, but
Me too, to be
these are
fair.
these are
Me
some
too.
these are some talented football players, very talented football players from right from Bryce from QB1, who unfortunately has had to miss the last 2 weeks due to coaching obligations, but they still have amazing talent on that team on both sides of the ball. So I don't know. Is it just the matchups? Is it miscommunication? What is it? What have you seen?
You know what? I'm not gonna point at any individual because they have at least 4 of my favorite football players in the league on this team. Of guys that I
Barney,
wanna play with, guys that I know are champions, guys that I know have
Raheem,
winning pedigree, but something about this team doesn't work for me. They played down to the level of competition, and the fact that I've had 2 ties against teams they should easily have wins against, no offense to the other teams. There's some games you should win on your schedule, and these teams, the Yetis seem to, like, always be right there neck and neck with everyone. So they could compete with the Vice, but they can also lose or tie to the Dolphins, and as you can tell, 1 in 12 is a pretty big discrepancy.
yeah.
That's why they're in the
I'm still not counting them out. I still think that
not one bit.
Yetis have an opportunity here to upset.
I love that, and I hope they prove me wrong with these power rankings. The Yetis have some of my favorite football players in this league, and I say it every single time I talk about them.
Same.
I want them to compete. I want them to win championships. I want them to prove everyone wrong. Right now, there's something missing, and I think they're going to figure it out before the playoffs are over.
And then number 6 and 7. This is great because this was our kind of our matchup of the week last week, and we shared that wonderful clip between Joe and Carl, and
I didn't share anything.
I did.
Yeah, you
Uh,
threw that on me.
yeah. But here they are, number 6 and 7, neck and neck.
Absolutely. Nightmare, another team that has amazing receivers and a good quarterback, a solid defense. That's another team that, like, somehow always gets to the championship game. I don't expect that this season. Unfortunately, they're struggling on offense, struggling on defense. I don't see the same path for them depending how the rankings work out. I hope they do because, Carlos is an awesome quarterback and I want him to succeed, but I think they're missing a couple of things that'll help them compete with the top 5. And Hammer Time, wow,
Mhm.
what a come up. I know they've kind of been in the middle of the pack this whole season, but a lot of turnover on both sides of the ball. And I'm so excited to see where this team goes in the future because a super dedicated quarterback, a super young offense. They have a bunch of 19-year-old, 20-year-olds at receiver. They can only get better. And a defense that's learning the fives game. Hammer time is going to be around for a long time and they're just going to keep getting better. So that's my 6-7 right there. Nightmare can still compete for the championship. Hammer time, I expect to be there in the future.
Talk to me about Showtime Rebels and Gators.
Dude, Showtime Rebels, what a coin flip these guys are. It really depends who makes the drive from Abbotsford, which doesn't seem that far if you think about it. This is the best group of touch football players BC has to offer, and they can't put together a 5-man team. No offense to the Showtime Rebels. When they show up, they're amazing. But they're getting their brakes kicked off by teams they should be competing with. The last 2 weeks have been embarrassing for them as a squad, and I expect way better of them. I wanted them to be like the 3 seed all year, but they're realistically like the 7. The Gators.
You heard it here first.
No offense to Dale
Bad,
Baxter. I still think he's the number 1 quarterback in all of BC. His team needs to help him out. On to the
Bav,
Gators.
I never said it. It was Hunter.
Sorry, I'm excited. Burnaby Gators. What a great group
Yeah.
of athletes. I think they have everything you need to succeed. They just need to learn the game better. They're all over the map. They hustle hard. They break on balls. They play good man coverage. They need to learn fives. I think next season they're going to compete with everyone. Right now, they're still learning fives football. We'll give them some time.
The next one up here, number 3, Showtime, has significantly improved season over season. And I don't know if it's the fact that Randeep's now throwing for them full time, and he's been here all season. So they've had some cohesiveness. They've been able to gel a little bit better, or what the deal is. I know they've got more wheels on defense now. Ricky's looking great. Their whole group has just really come together this season, and it shows. I mean, they're number 3 in our standings, and they're there for a reason. They gave you guys a run for your money on Sunday.
No, they pretty much beat the Van City Vice. Like
Yeah.
if it wasn't for Randeep stepping a toe on the line for a pass line throw, they win that game.
Unfortunate.
And their defense has always been one of the things I feared most in this league, and it's just gotten better. And now that Randeep is a solid quarterback who is apparently nimbly as heck. Holy cow, he must have dodged.
Oh, he can still move.
He dodged at least 10 rushes.
Yeah.
I didn't know dudes can move like that. I know I can't move like that. A guy who's much bigger than me. Wow, he's got some hips. I made a comment that to the Vice team on Sunday that this isn't a quarterback who should beat them. And this is a quarterback who could beat anybody because he's got moves. He knows where to put the ball and he knows exactly where to go with the ball. He didn't make a lot of bad turnovers and he kept this team in the game the whole way through. Showtime can compete with anybody.
Yep. And I think they're gonna challenge for that championship this season.
Absolutely.
Number 2.
Number 2, pretty much chalk.
Our good friends, the Ravens.
Our favorite bunch of guys, the Ravens. They have talent. If their quarterback shows up, they can compete with anyone. Game of the week at, I'm going to say 1 p.m., maybe 1:30, John Oliver Park, North Delta, not Vancouver. We have the Ravens of your BCAFL take on the Van City Vice for a 1v2 matchup for the ages. This
And I'm not going to be there.
It's okay. I'll be there for you. I'll wear my impartial hat.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe. Unless I'm playing. Anyways, this team, offensive weapons at the yin-yang. The only question mark, can they be consistent on defense? We know they have a great rusher. Do they have 4 defenders who can stop every threat consistently? We'll find out on Sunday.
And last but not least, those other guys, what do you call them? The Vice.
Oh, who? Oh, yeah, the Vice.
Yeah,
the Vice are solid.
The Vice.
They're a solid team. If they can win this Sunday, they keep the crown for the season power rankings champion, which means absolutely nothing.
0.
They get the first seed in the playoffs. You see what happens next.
These power rankings are brought to you by absolutely nothing because they mean nothing. Okay. We've got a special guest knocking at the door. Should we let him in?
Absolutely.
We're joined today by a very special guest. We've been trying for a few weeks to get him on. Finally, he's able to join us today. The pride of Victoria, BC, by way of Oakville, Ontario, Ohio University, the first winner of the John Cornish Trophy for top Canadian in the NCAA. First in 2017, then repeated again in 2018. The 15th overall pick by your BC Lions, the CFL's most outstanding player for 2025, and two-time most outstanding Canadian, Nathan Rourke. Nathan, thank you for joining us today. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, guys. This is fun.
I'm glad we were finally able to get our schedules aligned and get this done. So,
Yeah, me too.
I don't want to waste any time because we don't have a whole lot of it, but I do want to get into some football stuff and some non-football stuff. So I want to start out, first of all, by asking you, when did you make the decision that you wanted to go and chase your dream and go and play in the Olympics?
I don't know. It's kind of been more of a gradual process of trying to just, because I don't know what the logistics are of it with the CFL season and stuff like that. I know that they're in talks about how exactly the CFL is going to be able to support they support players playing in it, and I know there's more talks that have to be done in the NFL as well. I know there's a lot of openness to it, and it's just a matter of for me just trying to feeling out that process and wanting to be prepared as I can as things are getting sorted out. My buddies Dallas Dixon and Tate Williams have been bugging me for a number of years ever since I've been in BC to come and play flag with them, and I always cited injury concerns as and not seeing a huge benefit of doing it. But now that the Olympics are in the conversation, I, I don't need any more reasons to go and hang out with my friends. So it's been a pretty easy decision for me to try to go and at least pursue it and see what happens, and hopefully things are worked out, that there's a little bit more concrete stuff, information out there about what that might look like. And obviously they have the men's camp in Winnipeg at the end of the month, and it's just too close to training camp for me, so it's just a matter of seeing if those things align, but wanting to try to be prepared in the meantime.
So I want to just touch real quick on the what you just mentioned about the injury aspect of this, and there has to be some inherent fear that there is the potential for you to get injured. And I know when it was announced that you were going to come and play in the BCAFFL Flag Football League, I know there was some pushback online through the Lions, through our social media channels, that this was a stupid idea, that this was is he crazy, and how can the Lions allow this, and how can the CFL allow their best player to be doing this, and um, I, from what I've seen of you and the way that you work and the way that you train, and I've talking to Rob with QB Motion, and just hearing what Buck Pierce has to say as well about your work ethic and how you prepare yourself. Um, you know that fear, is it a realistic thing in the back of your mind, or is it I'm Nathan Rourke and I train as hard as I can no matter what I'm doing?
Yeah, I think there's an inherent risk in anything that you do, but I think that the risk in this situation, I think, is pretty low for me. You know, uh, not to throw anybody under the bus, but Hunter's been taking some snaps, and he's coming off a knee injury, right? So there's
Yeah,
not a huge amount of, for our position and what we're doing. There's not a ton of movement. I think the
mhm.
worst case scenario, you do something where you're running and it's a non-contact injury, but that could happen at any point.
You can
Um,
have him walking
and the
down the
way that
stairs.
yeah, and I play the way that I try to play is get the ball out of my hand really quick, and there's not usually a dude around me. And again, it's flag; it's not a contact
Yeah.
sport. It shouldn't. They certainly want to avoid contact as best as they
Mhm.
can, and I think it would be different for any other position. I would certainly make the argument that a receiver, guys like the Phil Potts, for example, who are
Yeah.
you know top receivers, Canadian receivers in the CFL right now, have some fives experience. They're probably guys that don't need to go and play rec right now, and that would be I would be agreeing with those people saying that would be foolish. But I think it's because of their prior experience and the position that would make it such. For me, someone who hasn't had a ton of experience, I think it's something that I'm willing to kind of explore and kind of see to the risk a little bit.
So real quickly on that, Tyson and Jalen, the Philpott boys,
Mhm.
who I've known since pretty much the day they were born. Um, these are two stellar athletes who came up in the flag football world. I watched them both at U16 and U18 nationals, where they went and won nationals. These two need to be on that roster, in my personal opinion. I don't know if you follow Canadian Football Fanatics on social media on their Instagram page. They've got quite the following, and they put out a list of top athletes across the CFL and who they thought would be the roster for Team Canada for 28. And neither Tyson or Jalen were listed on that roster. And you were a question on that roster. And I'm sorry. That can't be, man. That can't be. You can't have, if the CFL and Football Canada are aligned on this, and you're going to have professional football players playing for Team Canada in the Olympics. Nathan Rourke has to be at the top of that roster. Whether it's a 1-2 punch between you and Michael O'Connor or whoever else is ready at that point. But Tyson and Jalen have to be on that roster before any other receiver in this country. But you have to include the actual flag football players in this country. You have to. And I think you would attest to this, after the last few weeks of actually playing in the elite division. It's a
Mhm.
different game.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. There's a lot of nuance. There's things that are particular and specific to the game that are the the tackle game lacks. And while I think a lot of those skills can carry over, and we have the advantage of being professional athletes and not having a this is our main focus. There are some things that are nuanced, and so that's again why I feel like I'm going through the proper process and the proper channels and of trying to give the game its due and its time to learn it, and not assuming that just because I've had success at the tackle level that it's going to necessarily carry over the flag.
You know, the translation between tackle and flag, and you really are a student of the game, and you're proving that. And um, you know, have you had much in the way of trouble? Like, have you struggled at all in the last few weeks, going up against some of these other teams that have these elite players, um, as you're trying to navigate and learn the flag game?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this past weekend, we went and we played a team that was really being run by the defense was being run by Jackson Finley's dad, Anthony Finley, and they did a phenomenal job just switching up the coverages. And
Showtime.
you get used to certain coverages and seeing certain things and players playing certain concepts a certain way. That doesn't take a lot of time, but for me, when the ball is in the air for as long as it is, when you're at 7 yards, 10 yards, there's a free guy in your hand, in your face right away. Um, those things are different, and I think that the processing speed has to be a little bit quicker, and you
Mhm.
have to be able to understand just knowing what is open, what's not open, how they're rolling to different things, how DBs can cover the field. They were doing a really good job of switching it up every single play, trying to be very inconsistent, showing a lot of putting me in some uncomfortable situations, trying to play a little bit of man in there. And while I think that was a good test. I think if we got them again, I think we would feel a little bit better about ourselves coming out of it. But I think they exposed a lot for me personally of where I can still improve and so again, that's one of the reasons I'm doing this is to be able to have those experiences now rather than in a more pressure situation.
You talked about your processing speed, and we had Glenn Suter on a few weeks ago, and had a great chat with him for about an hour. And he brought this up a few times, is that in his experience, and obviously Glenn's been around a long time, and now working with TSN, but um, as a safety, as a Hall of Fame safety, I would take his opinion on a quarterback, and he claims that you have the fastest processing speed of any quarterback that's ever come through the CFL. What do you attribute to that? Is it just studying, or what is it?
I think I think that's, first of all, I think that's a tremendous compliment. So I appreciate that, Glenn. But I think that ultimately, I think I play my best when I am decisive. And when there's any type of hesitancy, I think you have you certainly show that on film that you're holding the ball a little bit longer than you should. And I think that it is so much easier on everybody when the ball is out of the quarterback's hands, in our playmakers' hands in space, taking advantage of our wide field. It's really hard on a defensive line when they are giving full effort to rush upfield and they don't even get to touch the offensive lineman in front of them. Like, those are all good things that we want to do. We make your offensive line better when they have to um, protect for less time. So I think ultimately we just want to be able to get the ball out of our hands, be decisive, even if it's a tighter window, not holding the ball, double pumping. I look at myself when I look back on film in 2024 when I came back from the NFL. That wasn't something that I was doing a whole bunch. Came back in 25, I felt like I did a little bit better job of just being decisive. Comes from pre-snap reads, comes from studying, but it comes from a lot of mostly, I think, of just confidence in your decisions and being decisive with wherever you're going with the football.
So, and if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you about that too. Your time in the NFL, you spent time
Mhm,
with New England and with Jacksonville.
mhm.
Um, what did you take away from both of those clubs, and what did you learn?
Yeah, I mean,
What was the greatest takeaway?
the greatest takeaway was for for me it was that I came away from that situation really two-pronged. One is that my process, in terms of the way I prepared every single week, was
Mhm.
exactly, or if not a little bit better than what I was expecting. I went to the NFL expecting that everyone was going to prepare and treat the game the way that I did, um, in terms of using an off day to come in and take some extra work or watching extra film. In reality, that wasn't the case. But I also realized that it kind of exposed me mentally to where I was at. I had a lot of maturing to grow in my mental game. As my career progresses, the more time I spend to trying to win the inner game. I've learned that I have developed a mentality that if that the biggest obstacle to any of my success is myself. And that's no shade to anyone that I play against. It's just I feel like when I'm in a good headspace, I can do whatever, and I'm in a position on the field where I have so much influence over the play that if I play my game, that it doesn't really matter what other teams do. And so that has been something that I learned when I was in the NFL through my failures, through my shortcomings the and then coming back to the CFL, of how much work I needed to do on that, to be able to set myself up for success. And that will likely be an ongoing process throughout my career, but that's part of the fun of it.
I think the one that stuck out for me the most was your time when you were in Jacksonville, and I think you guys were at AT&T in Dallas.
Oh,
Mhm.
You got chased out of the pocket and made some crazy move, and you got the ball into the end zone. And we're all sitting there watching, like, yeah, we know he's got the talent. So,
that was the coolest
um,
thing I've ever seen. That was easily the coolest play I've ever
yeah,
seen in my life.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? Look, you're what? You're 28 years old. Um,
Yep.
yeah, you've got two NFL jerseys hanging in your closet. How cool is that? Like, come on.
I've only got one,
Oh,
and it's a New England Patriots one because I never considered myself to have actually played in a Jacksonville Jaguars game, but I did. I was the number two going into one of the New England Patriots games. So I'm also one of those people though who I'm a little like when I got cut from all four of those teams, I never took anything from them. I just said, "Fine, you can keep it."
yeah.
So I don't really have a ton, but that is the one thing of just of realizing a childhood dream. So I do have a one New England Patriots jersey in my closet.
Great segue, because I wanted to ask you, growing up as a kid, who was it? What was your team?
Green Bay Packers. Brett Favre was
Brett
my
Favre.
guy.
Okay,
Yep, yep,
respectable,
Yep.
yep. And then
respectable.
later Aaron Rodgers. Yep.
Yeah. Again,
Mhm.
in the early days, very respectable. Um, but as a kid growing up, was it more? Were you more drawn to the NFL style, or were you drawn because you were playing it? Were you drawn to the Canadian game?
Yeah, I mean, coming from Canada, you played the Canadian game, and I growing up and playing minor football in the Burlington Minor Football Association, like you were playing like our flag games, like when we played because I played sevens. We were all at the time CIS schools teams, so
Right.
I remember we were uh, Golden Hawks, or we'd play against the Huskies or the Marauders, or Axemen, or like they were all like the names of schools and U Sports, right? So,
Yeah.
and then we play our championship games either in high school. I played at McMaster, and then we played at the old Ivor Wynn Stadium, which is where the Ticats used to play now with
Mhm.
Tim Hortons Field, and so we were very connected to those games. Remember going to games at playing seeing the Argos at the Sky Dome, and you know, watched a bunch of games there because it was just accessible. But growing up, my dad had an old VHS tape of the 1996 Green Bay Packers Super Bowl run where they 96, 97 when they played the Patriots in New Orleans, and I just remember watching that, and so there was kind of a mystique that was built about it, about, the NFL and all that kind of stuff, and I was kind of just as a football fan, a fan of both. I followed the Lions. I was a Canucks fan because I had family out there, and I didn't want to be a Leafs fan, so I was all Vancouver sports, and so
Yeah.
I was certainly had my foot in kind of both ponds, but yeah, the goal growing up was definitely to play in the NFL.
Very cool. I just real quick want to get your opinion on something.
Okay.
Three Down Nation. I'm sure you've heard of Three Down Nation. Three Down Nation
Yeah.
and JC Abbott, it was about 2 weeks ago, called us out, the BC Adult Flag Football League, for being a rec league. In your experience, from your perspective, then now that you've played 4 weeks of games, or 3 weeks of games, would you consider it to be a rec league?
What is your definition of that? What is your rec league definition? You mean it? You think that he said that in a way that was derogatory,
Yeah, they came across that way. Yeah, like we have a rec division,
right?
but we're trying to be a development league, right? Where we provide the pathway for athletes to get to their next dream, their next
Mm.
goal, right? So Mr. Abbott, I invited him online, and I would like to invite him again out to one of our games because I've never seen him on our sidelines. Um, or put on the cleats, JC, and come play in our men's elite division, and let's see if it's a rec league. Um,
Well, to answer your question there, Derek, I certainly, uh, I think he, not to defend him too much, but I think he was probably saying as opposed to it being a professional league. But
yeah, no,
I
we're not
think the
professional.
in terms of it being a development league to be able to be, a surrogate to or a pathway to Team BC or Team Canada stuff, I think it
Mhm.
certainly has accomplished that. Everyone who's there has some football experience. They've played at a college level at a high level, or they've been playing flag for a very long time. I think the talent is pretty high, and especially for I don't know if you're going to be able to find a league that's certainly in this area that's going to be able to compete with that. Players are all
No,
it's the best of this area, and like I said, I feel like it's a challenge. I don't feel like we're walking out there and just kicking the crap out of anyone that we play. Like
yeah.
we've got good players for sure. And it makes my job easier. But every team there deserves to be there, and it's been exciting because of that challenge.
Some of the comments that we've received over the last few weeks from across the country, from our contacts in other leagues as far east as Ontario, has been, how did you get Nathan Rourke to come and play in your league? And how do I get, in Calgary, it was Foothills is asking, how do I get VA to come out and play with us? And, you know, um, I, all I can say is, guys, work harder. Um, Nathan, with all due respect, Nathan, you're one of the most humble and you know, just nicest guys that I've met on our sidelines. I appreciate you coming out every week, and I think it was at Seltzer Athletic that week. You hadn't even stepped on the field yet, and there was a little kid coming up to you, can you sign my shirt? And without question, you were just right there. So I know the fans appreciate it. I know we appreciate it as the league administrators, Hunter and I, and Greg and Christine and everybody. And um, you're changing the game, and you're changing the culture, and you're changing the landscape of this particular portion of football across the country. You've become a pioneer without whether you realize it or not. Um, and I'm sure one day this is going to continue this pathway across the country, especially as we head towards 2028 in Los Angeles.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you saying that. It's very nice. I think something to say to that is that one of the things that's very distinct about what you all have built with this league is that there seems to be, to me at least, a huge existing culture that I'm kind of been stepping into. The I mean, you can just see on the sideline the amount of people that are just players, I mean, that are just coming to hang out and they just want to watch. And they've played a touch league, and they've played a co-ed game, and now they're playing another
Yep.
game. And
It's
our
almost not enough for
Baron,
some people.
I know, and Baron was playing Masters earlier in the
Yeah.
morning. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's incredible, and the support, and they just want to come out and watch, and they just want to play ball. And I've always been seeking for those type of people in my life, to be able to people who just love ball. And to me, it's never mattered what level or experience level or what's on the resume. It's just, I just want to be around people who love ball. And you guys have created such um, a coherent environment of people who just love hanging out with each other and playing football. And I think that you should be really applauded for that. So I felt very welcomed. I didn't feel like there was anybody who had any type of resentment, and I'm very appreciative of that. And I look forward to continuing to do whatever I can to be able to help you guys grow. And I don't think you're, to be honest, to be quite frank, I don't think you needed my help in the first place. I think it
Well,
was
look,
taken off. It was
we
keep
had
having
57 teams
conversations,
signed up
especially about the
before you
women's
signed up.
especially about the women's league, man. The game is growing, and it's cool to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's the one area we really want to see some outstanding growth is growing our women's division. But it's going to take uh, all of us. It's going to take the community to build that, and to you know keep reaching out and keep doing clinics and keep doing training. I think one of the biggest struggles is that there are not as many uh, female quarterbacks in this game to lead a team. They have lots of amazing leaders and great players, great ballers that can go out and catch and run, and great on defense. But I think the struggle has been the quarterbacks. And having you and Hunter and Leo and the others working on just that skill set in our March clinic, I think did wonders for the ones that are here and the ones that are working with us now. We're going to work on doing more of those throughout the year, and hopefully you'll be back to give us a hand. So again, thank you for everything that you've done already, and continue to do. And personally wish you all the best ahead for the Lions season coming up. You got camp coming up May 6th up in Kamloops, and season's right around the corner, opening up in Kelowna. Going to try and get up and catch one of those games probably in June, or was it July 4th, I think, versus Calgary.
Yep.
Yep. So I think we're going to try and get up and go and catch that one. I have a couple last questions for you. Favorite food?
Like probably pizza or sushi. Yeah.
If you weren't playing football, what would you be doing?
I'd probably be in the gym, probably working for probably be a personal trainer. I'd be in the gym somewhere, or maybe I'd be in the basketball or something like that.
When you were 10 years old, what did you want to be?
NFL quarterback.
NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
You did even better.
And lastly, where do you see the BC Lions finishing this season?
Man, we're going to be very disappointed if we're not the team raising the cup this year. We've got a lot of
I
people
would
on
say
this
so.
team that we believed that last year we were the better team. Obviously, you got to make plays when it counts, and we didn't. Saskatchewan did. Um, but we know that we've reloaded. We've added some key pieces, and we feel like we're at the we're at the precipice of something really special. So it's it is. I think every team in the CFO, like on paper at the beginning of the year, looks really good. So it's about putting it together. It's about staying healthy. But the strength of this team is its locker room, the culture that we have here, what Buck and the rest of the coaches have built. And I think there's no reason that we can't be standing by ourselves at the end of the year.
I'm excited for the season upcoming. I'm excited to see our season wrap up. I'm sorry you're not going to be able to be there for it.
Yeah, me
You got
too. But I will say this: this weekend will be my last one playing flag. But I know that we are in good hands with the man himself coming back, play and lead this team through the playoffs, my man.
I've never had shoes to fill before, man. This is gonna be tough.
Dude, what are you talking about? I've been wearing your shoes the whole time. I'm just giving it back to you.
Man, it was an honor watching you play, wearing my jersey, man. That felt really cool last week.
I hope I did it justice.
You did, man. I got to picture myself young, maybe 18-year-old Hunter who still had hair, running around out there. Felt really good. No, man, you crushed it. This league's lucky to have you. This team's lucky to have you. We're so thankful you want to spend your time with us on Sundays.
Of course, man. Of course. Let's get it
and
done.
I hope
this
you'll be
weekend.
back with us next spring.
Yeah. We'll see. I'm hoping things develop a little bit more at Team Canada, but I don't see, especially with the way things have gone this year, I don't see why not.
Amazing. I think that's going to do it for us today. Nathan, thank you so much for joining us once again. For No Run Zone, I'm Derek Slavin. He's Hunter Lake. He's Nathan Rourke. We'll see you next week.